get a look at this. Nice and easy. Hey guys, I just finished up the last Trident video here, and you're going to see it in a second, but I just wanted to tell you all thanks for watching 5 parts, and also the 5 parts of the Triumph 500 video that I did. I hope you all enjoyed them, and if you did, give them a thumbs up, and if you like them, give them a subscribe. So on with the show. Left off last time, couldn't get this plate off because this clutch hub needs to come off, and I did not have the puller for that. I thought I did, but I didn't. So I ordered a puller, and it came today. Here it is. And I can't tell you how much I love buying a nice expensive tool that's very well made, and it comes in a bubble wrap envelope and already has damage on it. Nice thing about buying black oxide tools though is that you can see when it's been damaged. You can see that little shiny bit right here. Threads have been crunched, so we'll fix that with a file, and then we'll get onto the hub. Alright, I think I got it here. There we go. Alright, now we can get these 3 screws out. And I've got a new tool. Been looking forward to trying these out. I've been seeing these on the couple different videos. If you haven't seen these are vessel impact screws. They come with a real colorful little shelf tag here. You can tell that they're made in Japan. You know, they've got all the exciting writing on them and stuff. Anyway, they're not regular screwdrivers. Now these are JIS, or Japanese Industry Standard, but they're close enough to Posi Drive where I'm going to try them on this. And they are impact. They look like a regular screwdriver, but they actually do compress just like an impact driver does. So let me pull you out here and we'll try them out. This is the first time I've used them. They do have a little metal rear end to hit on. Okay, I've kind of tried to manipulate you around and get some light on here. It's kind of hard to do this with the camera in the way, but I wanted to get you a close-up of what this thing does. I'll try to do this other one in slow motion. Basically, you just hold on to it, twist the way you want to twist, and hit it. So initial impression on this is it does work. It's a little more awkward to use than, because you got so much length, than the regular manual impacts, than this kind. But I tell you where I can see this being really useful is where you've got a screw that's kind of back into a hole where this thing doesn't want to go. That's where that would be very useful at. Alright, now that we got those bolts out, this piece will just come off, just like that. We got our main sprocket. I don't know if you can see that, but she's a little bit limp, let's just say. Let's see if I can use my little tool here. Let me turn it this way, so. Might be able to use that. If not, this chain's not the right size, but it's got this little block welded onto it, so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If I have to go get another chain, I have plenty of extra chains that are trash. So I was just about to put a wrench on there, and I realized 2 things. One, it's got a locking tab. And the other thing I realized is my biggest wrench don't fit. So okay, from experience I know that these nuts are not very tight, so that combined with the fact that I cannot find my 16-inch crescent wrench means I got to go caveman on it with my 18-inch channel locks. But like I said, these are usually not very tight. I'm not really worried about it. In fact, it was not tight at all. It's more of a problem getting the damn wrench to stay on. So yeah, if you've never seen this trick, it's really good. This chain is more for smaller bikes, but you don't have to weld a piece onto it. I was looking for this the other day when I was doing the 500 and couldn't find it, so I just used a piece of regular chain, wrap it around your sprocket, take vice grips, grip it on, and just let it float to where it wants to stop, and use that. And that works very well most of the time. Sprocket comes off, and you can see we're leaning left there a little bit. Rest of the transmission comes off with the sprocket carrier. And the sprocket carrier was stuck on the wrench there. There's your sprocket carrier. Okay, the transmission's completely out now for what was left of the transmission. Put these pieces back together. I will be holding on to these pieces. Okay, it looks like we'll get a chance to use the other size impactor. Mega Impacta. These are oil lines. I believe they're pressed in the case down here. See the oil line there? Pressed in the case here, and then they go into the top of the crankshaft block here, and they're held on with some little screws that look like somebody's boogered the hell out of them. So this will be a good test of this screwdriver. Nice. That one worked easier than the large one. Probably because it's got less spring in there. Yeah, that worked really well. I'm very impressed with the small one, or the number 2. You can see how boogered that head is. It's pretty bad, but it did a good job on it. Yeah, they just press in to the top there. That's all there is to that. Just get it out of the block like so, and then just push it down, and it comes right out. You may notice the holes for those are right here, and you notice how that one's almost completely clogged up. You gotta be careful when you put these gaskets on, that you don't clog those up, because that will be a short end to an engine. And we'll get the timing side part of the case off. So let's go ahead and see what we can get here. camshafts. There's the timing side plate. We'll go ahead and take this side off as well. Got one. Get some leverage on it. There we go. And there's that side. Oh. What is that, made in France? Looks like that's made in France. Oh. I'm sitting here going, what the hell is this? This is not a part of this. It's not supposed to be on there. And then I realized what it is. You remember a long time ago in the first episode, we pulled the oil filter out. And the oil filter didn't have any filter material in it. This is the filter cage. But that's what that is. That's part of that filter. I'm like, what the hell is that? Alright, not to put off the exciting bits too long, but let's go ahead and pull off the oil return valve, check ball valve. Alright, check ball valve. Remember I said these are dry sump engines, just like most of the Triumph or early Triumph engines. Actually, let's see. I say this a lot. I say this just like most. I don't know of a single Triumph engine before 1990 or so that wasn't dry sump. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments. Dry sump engines, you don't have any oil in the bottom end. If the bottom end fills up with oil, you get hydrolock. If that's the right word. Check ball prevents the oil from coming from the external oil tank into the engine when the engine's not running. If your Triumph Norton BSA has got oil in the bottom end constantly and doesn't want to kick over after it's been sitting for a while, you may need a new check valve. We have the 4 crankshaft block bolts. Notice that these are marked, so you shouldn't be able to mix them up. We got D on this side, that's drive. T on this side, that's timing side. And then both of those letterings are to the front of the motor. So that's how they go. You can't mix them up, theoretically. Now, as I remove these, I'm not gonna use the impact on them. Probably doesn't matter, but in this case, I'm not gonna use the impact on them. And the reason I'm not gonna use the impact is because I can't control how quickly I untighten them. I want to untighten them fairly evenly, so I'm going to take just a standard socket and wrench, and I'm going to do a quarter turn on each one, and I'm going to go crosswise. You know, roughly a quarter turn. Back to this one. And what I'm doing there is, again, it's best practice. I'm trying to relieve the tension on these as evenly as possible because they are pretty tight. And when they're tight and they've been in here for, you know, a number of years, there's a possibility that if you just take one off, it's just going to snap. No, I don't mean snap. it's not going to break. What I mean is it's gonna open up a gap on one side and twist a gap open on the other side, so you can actually warp your journals and your mounting surfaces, more importantly, so that they won't mount properly. Alright, once I got them to that point, I'm just going to do the same thing. About a quarter turn. I really should do it on both sides. At the same time. And I kind of want to do that until they're basically loose. Now these are locking nuts. They're nylock nuts. They're early nylock nuts. So they're going to be pretty tight until they come off the stud. But when I mean they're loose is there's a gap here. There's a gap between the actual block and the stud. So basically at this point I am not doing anything by staggering. I could just come right off. They've all got that gap there. So we'll just come right off. Alright, get all the bolts off, nuts off. Alright, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to pop both sides evenly. Let me get you out a little bit. By the way, I'm using a new camera mount. Which I made and testing it out. And so far I think I'm going to do a video on it and improve it. But that's later. Okay, here we go. No, I thought that might break the blocks loose at least. But no. So we're going to try a little persuasion of the rubber hammer variety. Not hard, just a good swift tap. I missed. I think that opened a little bit of a gap, so let's do it again. Okay, I definitely got a gap there now. And I got one block out. Didn't really want to take it all the way out, but I did. This one's going to fight me, it appears. Yeah. Alright, that's a pain in the ass. That one's not moving at all. So a little more tapping and playing, working it. I also was doing very light taps back and forth like this, and just kind of keep trying to pull it up as straight as possible, and it eventually did break free. And let's pull this thing out of here. Turn it the right way. Get the flat spot. It's always something. Alright, I gotta pull these studs. I don't remember that, but alright, 2 nuts on. Tighten them up. Inside nut. That wasn't bad. That could have been worse. That could have been a lot worse. Okay, so try that again. Just like that. Okay, just to elaborate on what I was saying in the last video, each con rod is at its highest travel, and if you look at it, it looks kind of like a fan. And what you have is you have 120 degrees to here, 120 degrees to here, that's 240 degrees, and 120 degrees back, that's 360. And that's why they say it's a 240 degree crankshaft. And you can also see the balance of that. Alright, I'm not going to take the con rods off because one, it's simple, there's 2 bolts, you take it off. Again, you do the same thing I did with the crankshaft and remove them evenly as you can. But I'm not going to take them off because I'm likely it's not going to keep this crank. It's in really good condition. And I'm just going to keep it together. The journals are really nice. Everything's in really nice condition. Even that bearing, which I would replace anyway. So we just got a couple more things to do. I'll show you here. You can see this center case, and you see kind of what I was talking about when I was talking about maybe making a modular case. It'd be very easy just to add another cylinder onto here. It's flat and ready to go. There's one more thing in the transmission. There's the shift plate. Each time you shift, it goes to one of these dogs. That moves the dogs around. You've got your plunger that engages that plate. This tube here, see that tube right there? That is your drain and your level. So basically the transmission has to be at least to the top of that tube. The transmission oil, fluid, gear oil, gearbox oil has to be at least to there. Alright, neighbor just turned the lawnmower on, of course, so we'll make this quick. Clutch, and you got to bend back all these little tabs. I've already done the rest of them. Okay, these are 8mm. Doing this like you do a tire. Not really necessary. Well guys, I really appreciate you hanging around with me for 5 episodes here, and I'm still going to get my bike running. I haven't started on the carburetors yet, just been doing other stuff. There's your clutch. Mentioned before, it's a dry clutch, kind of an automotive clutch. Your spring. Oh, she's stuck. She's also a stuck clutch. Driven plate, your fiber plate. It's like quite a bit of life left on there, although a couple of those are coming through. If I'm going through all the trouble of this, I'm going to replace this. See how it runs on the clutch hub. Yeah, that's a bit of wear on there. And that's basically it. Big old fiber clutch, big old driven plate, semi big old spring, and it's basically a car clutch. And they're a pain in the butt to pull in, especially if you're in traffic and you're constantly holding that thing in. It's a pain. It's a huge clutch too. It's what, 8 inches? Yeah, it's 8 inches. You know, this is as big as a Harley clutch. It's not as thick as a Harley clutch. So anyway, guys, I think that's it. We've completely taken apart the Triumph Trident motor. Now, a couple things just to end this video. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. If I can answer them, I will. If I can't, I'll say I can't. You know, I said at the beginning of this, I'm not an expert on these motors. I've taken them apart before, I've worked on them, but I'm not an expert on them. One thing I will say, I did get one comment asking about, and I'm sure it was just a mistake on his part, he just didn't watch it very closely, but just so there's no confusion, this Trident motor and the Trident motor of the later Hinckley Triumphs, which is around 91, 92 I think, came out with a 3-cylinder 900 motor. That motor is completely different than this motor. It is, nothing is interchangeable. There's no parts that are the same. It's a different motor. It's a completely designed from the ground up motor. So if you're going to ask me a question about that motor, I don't know much about that motor. I've never messed with one. I have messed with a Speed 4, which is a 4-cylinder later Triumph, and I've messed with the Bonneville motors, but not a lot. I don't have a lot of experience with the new stuff. I have much more experience with the old stuff. I'm not going to do I have a 650 motor I could do the same thing to. It takes a lot of time to do these videos. I'm sure you know if you've spent time watching them. It takes 8 times the amount of time that it takes to watch it that it does to actually do them. But I'm not going to do a 650 motor because, perfectly honest with you, the guys at Lowbrow Customs did a much better job than I could ever do. They did like a 30-part rebuild on 650 motors, so there's nothing I could show you that they haven't already showed you. And if you're in the market to see a 650 motor come apart, go watch them. But hey guys, before you go watch them, if you haven't watched any of my other videos, my 500 video, I do the same thing with it, complete teardown, bolt for bolt. If you haven't seen that, go watch that. If you really enjoy these videos, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe if you'd like them. Anyway guys, once again, thanks for watching. And I've got a lot more content coming. Got a lot more on my own Trident, as well as just, you know, other random stuff that I do around the shop. So thanks for watching. Bye.